Hey, folks, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the official podcast of GeoWoodstock 18 right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Each week, we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're stocking up on half-price Valentine candy, and you know who you are, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
That's right, and that means that it's time to bring in our carpooling Capuchin. Some say he once owned a magical Bengal tiger. Others say he has so much iron in his body that he is magnetically attracted to ammo cans. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
It's a magnetic personality again, isn't it? All right. Hey, tonight we are going to talk about one of my favorite things, hashtag geocache road trip. Man, I miss hashtag geocache road trips. All right, well, we're going to talk about them tonight, and we're going to talk about a hashtag geocache road trip on the Lincoln Highway with our friend Scott, GSM2. Welcome back to the show, Scott.
Oh, thank you guys for inviting me back. I am so excited to tell you what's going on there on the Lincoln Highway.
We're excited to hear it.
And about a road trip during pandemics.
Yeah,
right?
Really.
Yeah. We're pretty curious about some of the details around that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely dig into that. But before we do, it's a quick reminder that we do appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. And a special thanks to Land Sharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. And hey, guys, grab your spacesuits. Thank you. Yep. Good job, Chris. Well done.
I think I left it in my other suitcase.
Buckle in. That's right. Hey, did you know you can pre-order your Mars Rover Perseverance geocoins, tags, and patches?
Patches? We don't need no stinking patches.
Yeah. You can't see it, but it's there.
We need all the patches.
Yeah. Anyways, I got my pat. Oh, now you can see it when I don't hold it right up against the light. Hey, so Land Sharks has the Mars Rover Perseverance geocoins, tags, and patches. To make it easy, they are listed on their website. So grab your spacesuits and head over to landsharks.ca. Get your Mars Rover trackables and patches. And we got our patch. Mrs. Monkey's happy.
There you go. They will help you to dare mighty things.
Yes,
Ooh.
indeed.
And they can seal up little holes in your spacesuit as well. That's what you use the patches for.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, folks, if you want to know more about supporting this podcast, click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com, a website.
And folks, if you want to join in tonight's show and you just happen to be in the chat, either in YouTube or Facebook, use the hashtag Lincoln. You're going to have to look to spell that if you're not American, right? I realize the Canadian friends have a little more problem. We look at it and go, yeah, that's the correct spelling of Lincoln.
L-I-N-K-I-N, right?
There's two L's in Lincoln.
Don't they import Lincoln automobiles up there too?
Oh, yeah, they do.
There you go.
The band.
Never heard of them.
Oh, yeah. They don't spell it right.
I'm old.
And so hashtag Lincoln for tonight's chat. And of course, hashtag Patas if you want to bring up anything for the after show.
I've heard of that. When does that happen?
After the show.
Oh,
before the next show.
Wow.
When it happens.
That's really coincidental that it's named like that.
I know. It's good planning, actually, is what it is. Good job, Chris.
Coincidence.
All right. We got
call it a winky dink.
We got some news.
News.
Yep. I'm gonna scoop in here.
We like news. Tell us some news, Land Monkey.
Thank you. Hey, and thanks Keats94 for getting my reference of Lincoln. Yeah, that's right. Lincoln Park.
Yeah, I still don't know who that is. I know who Keats94 is.
Kid Vegas 19 is in Lincoln.
There you go.
Nebraska?
I don't know which one. All the Lincolns.
Probably more than one.
Probably not inside the giant statue in DC. All right. So, hey, first bit of news here. If you didn't know that, speaking of Keats94, he and I have started a new video podcast, and the 4th episode just released this morning. It's called This is Planet Earth. And in the 4th episode, we interview our friends from Ontario, Cache Canada. And they share their pro tips on how to search for, visit, observe, and log Earth caches. because this is Planet Earth. It's all about Earth caching and geology. So, hey, check it out on YouTube. If you search for Land Monkey on YouTube, you'll find it, or just go to landmonkey.ca and all the episodes are there. So there you go.
I see, eh?
That's right.
All right. In other news, coming down from BC to Idaho, the Idaho State Journal published an article about the American Falls High School Future Farmers of America. They have a project in the works that will allow future generations of the area to connect to the history of Power County, while also providing a little bit of fresh air. And it uses, big surprise, geocaching. Using that, they hope to provide an engaging and enlightening experience to people while also teaching them about the area they live in. So it's great that you can use geocaching to learn about the history of Power County, old farms, churches. Apparently there's a dam there, and history that people have forgotten about, it says, because let's face it, if you're like me, when you were in school, you forgot more history than you ever learned. And the older I get, the more I appreciate it, but I didn't at the time.
I've lived a lot of history now.
Yeah, well, there's that. So apparently they've been working with community members collecting stories and facts during COVID-19 because, what else are you going to do? You can't go out on a hashtag Lincoln Highway road trip.
Not everyone.
Not everyone can.
Only the cool kids.
That's right. And they hope to increase agricultural awareness and agricultural literacy, not only for the people of Power County, because agriculture affects us all, but also people that care to visit the area.
So I got a question. This is something that always I find interesting. The term literacy being put after all kinds of different things, and they don't actually mean literacy in the sense of being literate. Like, what is agriculture literacy supposed to mean?
Yeah, it's
Go
probably a misuse of the word. It's what we do in 2021, 2020. We just kind of find a cool buzzword and we throw it out there because we think it sounds cool, even though we're misusing it. But really, they just want to make people aware of how important agriculture is and how it affects all of our lives, I think, is the intention.
There you go.
Yeah, you can also
So it's
be
not
an
how to
evangelist.
spell the word.
No,
No.
you can
Use
also
it
be
properly in a sentence or what it means.
you can be an evangelist for many things, which is an odd term that I hear outside of church settings. So, I mean, being agriculturally literate, yeah, I could see how people could throw that around.
Just curious. Thank you.
Just be careful what you pick up and throw when you go out to an agricultural community.
That's right.
It's kind of like that word unprecedented that we're hearing so much. And the matter of fact, this is a
Yeah.
precedented time. This has happened before,
Yeah.
but never.
Mhm.
We've never used that word so often. It's unprecedented how
There
often
are-
we're using that word.
There are many phrases that have come up lately that, yeah. So out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to move on to Land Monkey with the next news item.
So that I get to be the punching bag. All right.
Well, how about me? Can I read it?
Go for it,
Oh,
Chris.
sure. Why not?
Okay. Because it's about love. And who doesn't love love,
Me?
right? Oh,
Oh, wait.
Well, I love
well, 3 out of 4 don't
Yeah,
love
see?
love. We're out of here. We'll skip this story and move on.
No.
No,
please
I'm
do.
going to read it.
We're kidding. Please, tell us the news.
It's about a good Irishman. I could read the whole thing in a bad Irish accent.
Please do. We
No.
need more listener mail.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, please don't. So you do you.
I'll do me and not do Irish. How's that? Love was certainly in the air for an Irishman who marked the most romantic day of the year, which was Valentine's Day, in the best possible way by asking his Valentine to marry him on Sunday. Rodney Kerrigan, there's a pretty good Irish name, got down on one knee and proposed to his very shocked but equally delighted partner of 3.5 years, Sarah Clayton. I drive a delivery truck, and with the help of my son and his girlfriend, we cleaned out the back of the van, created a dining room experience with carpet, table, chairs, balloons, and photographs of our time together, along with a 3-course meal. The couple are fans of geocaching. So now, do you see why the story's in here? Mm-hmm. And they met through their shared enthusiasm for the outdoor treasure hunting game that uses GPS devices. The very spot where I parked the van was the site of the first geocache that we found together as a couple, and it's held a special place in our hearts ever since. It would appear that the pair found treasure in more ways than one after their love for the great outdoors led them to fall head over heels in love with one another.
Oh.
We set our wedding date for the 22nd of February, 2022, as it's a palindrome date linked in with geocaching.
Lincoln?
We met through our outdoor outdoor pursuits, so we're going to go for a forest somewhere. Speaking on the one love he has for his future wife to be, Mr. Kerrigan said, "Sarah is everything to me. She is my world and always makes me smile and makes me a better person. I'd be lost without her and love her to bits. She has the best smile I've ever seen." Isn't that just lovely?
Oh, it's wonderful.
All right. Can we get
Hey, it's
wonderful.
geocaching related.
Yeah.
So, some of the best things that you find is love geocaching.
There you go.
Hey, and one more, I'm just going to throw it in there because we chatted about it before the show, even though it's not in the notes. Maybe not perfectly geocaching related, but GPS coordinates at all. I threw out the little phrase a minute ago to dare mighty things, and if you were perceptive, you might have picked up on that. That was a message that was coded in binary into the parachute of the Mars Perseverance lander, along with, on the outer edge, some GPS coordinates. So I don't think there's a geocache at those coordinates, although there might be.
I think we should go look.
There might be.
Hey,
But
Scott, can you go look for us?
it's just
I
kind of
can
cool.
because those are the coordinates to where JPL is, and
That's
there
right.
are
It's
there's
JPL
an
coordinates.
adventure lab and several.
There you go.
Probably
See?
not at those coordinates, but right there.
but very close to it. So
Yeah.
always fun to see GPS coordinates out there, even if it's not pointing to geocache. And congratulations to Perseverance lander for landing and all that stuff. So
You know
Fun,
how hard
fun.
it is to land something on another planet? I
personally,
don't.
no, I haven't actually done it, but
Gonna guess not easy.
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Starcacher, who always adds great things into the chat each and every week,
Mm-hmm.
lets us know that the second definition of literacy is competence or knowledge in a specific area.
Okay.
I saw that earlier and thanked him for that clarification. So they answering the question once again, our live chat, getting the answers before we even get 10 minutes past. That's awesome. Not even
Well, I mean, the research department is on it.
Yeah.
as always.
So, Scott, is there anything you'd like to ask the research department to have them go look at, maybe solve a puzzle cache for you? And they'll do it while we're sitting here talking.
Look at. I hear the train coming. I don't know the GC code, but it's down in. Just solve that in the next hour, and
Okay.
I'm going to be
Oh.
extremely impressed.
It's in the Ojai area.
It's over in Thousand Oaks. Yep, it's
Thousand
in
Oaks.
Ventura
There you
County.
go.
Okay.
Yep.
They'll give everybody something to do.
Yeah,
Going round
absolutely.
the bend.
Oh,
I haven't seen you as a guest since I can't remember when, but I can't do this song well. So welcome, GSM times 2. We're glad you're back. And, an awful lot of weeks you are so active in the chat, and we appreciate that. We appreciate everybody in the chat. But I'm glad to have you interact with us in a little more than just the chat this week. So if people out there haven't had a chance to meet you, hear from you and everything, could you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself, where your home is, and I don't know, what you enjoy about geocaching?
Well, I'm Scott. GSM. It looks like GSMx2, but it's really GSM times 2 because my wife and I have the same initials. So GSM times 2.
I never knew that in all these
didn't?
years.
All
No.
these years. Oh, now you know.
I knew it was for two people, but I didn't know you had the same initials.
Yeah, if I use my
learned
first
something new.
if I used my first name and she used my last name, we'd have the same initial. So it's pseudo GSM times 2. From Ojai, California, down between Los Angeles and Santa Barbara. Beautiful, beautiful area. And what do I enjoy about geocaching? Oh, geez, just about everything. I love finding geocaches. I love hiding geocaches. I get to introduce people to geocaching. But I think one thing I love most and I miss the most is attending the events and just meeting other geocachers. I have actually met 2 of the people in this room, and with Send one of these days, I look forward to meeting you. And then one of the things I really like is the new adventure labs. I think they're a great addition with perfect timing, by the way, to geocaching.
There you go.
I
And it
remember
was a
events.
pleasure to have the opportunity to meet you in person, Scott. And I look forward to the next opportunity.
Me too. Probably up in the Northwest. So
We're
Yeah.
hoping. We'll see.
yeah, we are
welcome
hoping.
anytime.
Well, speaking of hashtag geocache road trips, you've shared online in the social medias that you recently enjoyed a hashtag geocache road trip to check out the Lincoln Highway Adventure Lab. Now, I'm personally, we lost him. Uh-oh, he'll be back. I'm confident that
He
he'll
will be.
All right. So
Stretch.
while we're waiting for
Stretch, land monkey, stretch.
well, we're waiting to see if he reappears backstage. So I'm not familiar with the Lincoln Highway Adventure Lab, and we're going to get Scott to explain what it is and why it's a destination adventure lab when he rejoins us. In the meantime, I will share that I met Scott at the GeoWoodstock, and
Mhm.
I think in Cincinnati, and then subsequent, it looks like Cache Canada met him in Cincinnati as well, and then subsequently in Texas as well. And he is a fantastic guy, just a really nice, genuinely nice guy. So if you get a chance to meet up with Scott with GSM times 2, take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, he's really worth it. Wits End, we've got a question here in the chat. Nope, never mind.
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Oh, so apparently went to share a screen and left the studio.
Oh no! Not that button. Okay.
Not that button. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Red Coaster assumed you were heading off for an FTF, but
could have been. So, what was the question?
So the question was, and I've already asked the question or shared the question with our live listeners, so they're already researching it for you. But I am not personally familiar with the Lincoln Highway Adventure Lab, but that is, I believe, was part of your goal for your road trip. So maybe you can explain to us why this is a destination adventure lab.
Okay, it's not just a destination adventure lab. It's a huge number of adventure labs linked together on the Lincoln Highway. There's a geocacher, KL11. He was looking at the Lincoln Highway, which is the first transcontinental highway in America, going back to 1916. And he went to his friends in Illinois and said, hey, we have these adventure labs. Let's link them together and connect the Lincoln Highway in Illinois. And I'm going to try and share my screen. Share the screen.
see, Illinois is known as the land of Lincoln, by the way.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Is that where Lincoln logs come from?
Probably was. Okay.
Well, Scott, I was able to
That's
come up
okay.
with a
Scott's
map.
got it. There we go.
There we go.
Lincoln Highway and the adventure labs that connect from coast to coast.
Holy smolies.
Yeah. So here he is, K11, and I think he might even be in chat. And he's just saying, hey, let's get together and let's do the Lincoln Highway in the land of Lincoln. And then some people from Iowa said, hey, this sounds good. Can we get involved in this? And they went ahead and started to do. So as you can see, here's the Lincoln Highway. It goes all the way across America, starts in New York, ends in San Francisco. This is a map that's put up by the Lincoln Highway Association.org. Yes. And they did a fantastic job of researching this. All of these are information items on the highway. And if you go in here,
not just like pull over and count the fence posts at this set of coordinates.
It's not necessarily that. So here, I've blown up into Nebraska, And here's a section of 1923 Lincoln Highway that was paved by bricks. And so they have restored that. And they just done this across the entire United States.
That is so cool.
Wow.
Really
Yeah.
amazing.
So here's KL11, and he's saying, okay, Illinois people, let's go over here. Let's just do the original blue route of the Lincoln Highway going through Illinois. And then some people from Iowa get hint of this and say, ooh, we want to be involved in this also. So they start coordinating together. Somewhere along the line, GCHQ gets wind of it, and they're like, God, this is kind of a cool idea. And they start working with Jeff over there, and Jeff starts awarding 10-stage adventure labs to anyone who wants to get involved in this.
Wow.
Yeah. And so so now we have the Lincoln Highway Geocaching Adventure. The URL is lincolnhighwaygc.org.
I just pasted that in the chat.
Thank you.
And you've already inspired Keats to say, dang it, we need to do this up here on the Trans-Canada Highway in Canada. So you never know. We might have a new project kicked off from our listeners.
You might. So let's see. That wasn't quite the map that I wanted. That wasn't quite the way I wanted to show that map, but that's going to work. There we go. So here are all the adventure labs from New York to San Francisco. Right now, there's 91 of them put out by about 89 geocachers.
That's impressive.
It is extremely impressive. And most of them have 10 stages. So here's kind of a blow up of all the stages that are in there. Okay. And each of these stages, you can just click on them and you can see what it is. Each of those adventure labs, you can click on it, see what it is. And I'm going to get a little bit ahead of myself of talking about this road trip and why I took this road trip.
That's all right, man. You're the guest. You steer where you want to go. It's like you're driving again.
It's like I'm not hitting leave the studio either. So it's going fairly well.
You're doing wonderfully.
So right here in Nevada, between Middlegate, Nevada, and Austin, Nevada, is my little 62-mile adventure lab.
If you've changed tabs, it's not showing up on the screen share.
It's not.
Is that your personal?
Yes.
Yeah, we're still seeing the nationwide map there.
Oh, you
There we
are.
go. There we go.
Oh,
Okay, now we're caught up with you.
There's
okay.
a map in Nevada.
Very good. Okay, so so I'm just going out here, and I was awarded this really late. Actually, I had heard about I had heard about KL doing this, and I'm like, oh man, that sounds cool. That sounds cool, but I don't want to go all the way up to Sacramento or someplace like that. And then I'm listening to the geocaching podcast a couple of weeks ago, or I guess a month ago now, and KL's on there with some of the other people who have set their adventure labs. And he said, if you want to contact me like this, and I might have some adventure labs available. And I did not procrastinate 1 minute. I wrote him and said, I'm interested. And he said, okay, there's a guy here in, let's see, I can turn this off now. There's a guy, can I turn this off? There. Okay. So there's a guy in Nevada I haven't really heard from him. Would you like this little section? And I'm absolutely. So that's how I started my little road trip.
Wow.
Very
So You said this got on your radar by listening to the geocaching podcast.
It actually originally got on my radar because KL was out there joining all kinds of Facebook groups across the United States saying, I'm doing this. Is anybody interested in this?
Mhm.
And, and again, I'm, very interested, but procrastinated and talked myself out of it until I listened to the podcast and he said he might have some spaces available. So there we went. Now I'm ready to try and do a road trip during a pandemic, which creates a few issues.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little trickier than a more normal year, if you will. What kind of issues do you anticipate or have you dealt with?
Well, the first issue I dealt with was my wife and I are both high risk people, or high risk for catching COVID-19. So we're not doing any traveling. We're not going to take any hotels. We're not taking any planes. So if I'm going to do this, I have to figure out a way around this. Originally, the way around it was, okay, I'll just wait till May or June or whatever, and we'll do it when it clears up. But then I realized that 90% of these are already set, and I want to get out there and start doing it. So start looking at camper vans and things like that. They're fairly expensive. But
They can be a little pricey.
They can be a little pricier. And I remember Simi Shell when he came to GigaStock. He had one of these camper vans, and I, text him, hey, Craig, tell me who you went to, and he tells me about escapecampervans.com, and they're in the middle of the winter, not renting out a lot of vans, and you got really good pricing, really good pricing on it, of $33 a day. And right now, $33 a day, they give you bedding, they give you a heater, they give you, some things that you otherwise would pay for. And I'm like, okay, I think this is a workable solution.
Well,
sounds like it. Yeah.
It allows you to stay isolated, right?
Absolutely.
You're not dependent on other people. Yes, you're still going to go get food. You're still going to go to a grocery store, and do things, but you would have done that anyway. So your exposure hasn't increased. And allowing to take your little, if we go back to see my shell, taking your own little turtle shell with you.
Yeah. And actually this, I'm a little hesitant now to share a screen, but the campers are, so if somebody wants to put in the chat and you guys want to start looking it up,
I'll look it up.
Yeah, just look at, let's see, what's the...
They're escape camper vans. They have some wild...
they have wild hand-painted designs. Yes.
I'm trying to find some good examples.
Okay. Let me
Anyway,
scare myself.
While I'm looking for this, GSM times 2, how long was this road trip? I mean, with COVID and, I would think it would take longer than normal. Am I right about that?
Well, I am, this was an unbudgeted expense, so I'm trying to do this absolutely on the cheap. So my original plan is to make this a 3-day trip. I'm going to pick up the van on Friday at 3:00 when I can pick up the van. I'm going to come home, pack it up, and then drive up on Saturday. It's only 500 miles. Sunday, I would go ahead and collect all the information that I need, and then on Monday, I come on home.
Oh, that's a nice quick trip.
That's a quick trip.
Yeah, it worked out just like you planned it, I'm sure.
It did not. It did not. It worked out a heck of a lot better than that.
Oh, okay, great. Well, better is good.
Yeah. And I want to tell you this. You're talking about you have to go food. The camper van comes with a bed. It comes with a refrigerator. It comes with all the utensils and a stove. So no. Oh, there you go.
Wow. There you go.
It's pretty
easy to find it in the parking lot too, from the looks of things.
Pretty easy to find, and you know, I mean, if you're geocaching, nobody's going to notice you.
Yeah, no.
And
Very discreet.
and if you look at the center picture here, you can see it's got a decently well-stocked kitchen.
That's
Yeah.
pretty slick. I like the way they do that. I was curious how that was laid out. Okay. So it's
Yeah.
all, you open up the back doors and it's all.
It's all right there. It's all right there. So, you know, so I went grocery shopping here in Ojai, carried my food down to LAX and where they are, and I'm on my way, and I'm completely isolated. But what's turned out really nice is they, you know, they're not renting out a lot of campers right now, and they said, hey, instead of 3:00, you can come pick it up at 9:30. And I'm like, oh, that works out well. And now I'm thinking, well, why am I coming all the way back to Ojai to spend the night here when I could be driving up there? So I pick it up on Friday at 9:00 or 9:30, start driving, and I get up to, and I get to Death Valley. And that's one of the things that changed. One of the things that we had to deal with was a week before or 4 days before this trip, the Sierra Nevadas just got plastered with 5 feet of snow.
Whoa.
And I don't do snow. I don't do snow chains. I've done snow chains twice. They both ended in bad experiences. So I don't do snow. So instead of going up the 395 and having to, you know, not cross, I didn't have to cross the Sierras, but I was going to get in some pretty high mountains. I just went ahead up on the east side of Death Valley. Stopped by Death Valley and got an adventure lab there because I love adventure labs, and you know, just stayed the night somewhere around Death Valley, and that was night number 1. Night number 2, I wake up early and I drive up and I get to Austin fairly early. Fortunately, I remember that there was just an adventure lab set in Austin, so I almost drove right through it. That would have been kind of disastrous. So I do the adventure lab in Austin, stop by their one of the little stores there. Their visitor center was closed, but I tell, you know, one of the merchants there who's well connected, hey, you guys have this adventure lab here. So, you know, and here's a login, try it out. And so do that, and then work my way across, you know, my 62 miles. And there's really some interesting stuff in that little corridor. The Pony Express Road, the Stage Road, the first transcontinental telegraph went, and so there's, you know, on that map you just saw those little things that, you know, I could pick up and get information on, and so forth. So yeah, this is the longest answer on how long did it go. So I stay the night. And I wind up, I'm just having such a grand time. I call them up and I just say, you know, I'm going to be out. I'm not coming back on Monday. I call my wife. Back, period, right? Yeah, but I call my wife and she answers the phone. You're not coming back on Monday, is correct. She figured this out.
She knows you.
Yeah, she knows me. So yeah, so, you know, extended out. It was originally going to be 2 nights or in the camper, and it wound up being 5 nights in the camper or something like that. And just had a great time.
Scott, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Now you said you got the Pony Express and the stage. Was it stagecoaches as well that were coming across this section of the highway? How did you find that information out? Did you just happen to drive along and wait to see a plaque on the side of the road and go, "Oh, look, I didn't know this"?
No, the geocaching, or I'm sorry, the Lincoln Highway Association had all of those points of information, and so I was stopping by those, and then I picked up some other things, and you know, like, there was a really neat cemetery there, so I was able to do one of those in the cemetery. And then there was some signs that weren't on theirs that showed the actual crossing where the Pony Express crossed right there. And so, yeah, so I had good information to start. And then they do have some great pullovers. Probably the best information site on the Pony Express is one of my locations, and it's just great.
Nice.
So yeah,
Very cool.
now, yeah, very
Scott,
cool.
The question, or I guess more of a comment, but we can turn into a question as well that I had for you. It's just in the way you've related the story so far, there's a few things that I thought were pretty adventure smart about the way you did things. So first of all, you knew your limits, right? Like you said earlier. Yeah, I was watching the weather forecast. I heard there was snow. I don't do snow. Like you knew your limits, right? It's like, I'm going to reroute. I'm going to change my plans because this is outside of my capacity. So first of all, I wanted to congratulate you on being wise enough
Thank you.
to make that choice and do that. Oh, I guess I got to change my plans. And instead of doing that, well, I'm just going to go anyway. So that's awesome.
And it actually worked out better anyways. I mean, I had some virtuals that I was going to pick up and might have picked up some counties and things like that. But no, it was better to not deal with snow on the highway. Did deal with snow. Thank goodness I have a little electric fan. I did have to go to campgrounds because I needed, 110 because the temperatures at night were 17 degrees. And I don't care how many blankets I have.
That's really,
you should clarify for us
that's
Canadians, it was 17 Fahrenheit, not 17 Celsius. Because us Canadians are like 17. Well, that's warm,
Yeah,
actually.
17 Fahrenheit is -8 Celsius.
There you
So,
go. That's a big difference.
minus 8 Celsius. Okay, I thought it was like minus 320 Celsius.
yeah, it feels the same when you're sleeping. Yeah.
-8 Kelvin. Yeah.
Yeah. So, wound up having a great time. Picked up, I believe, 9 adventure labs of about 90 locations. They were all Lincoln Highway. There were plenty of other adventure labs along the way, but I wanted to concentrate on only those that were Lincoln Highway.
Mm-hmm.
And people are doing a really, really good job with this. It's, someday somebody's going to put this on their bucket list, and they are going to do from New York to San Francisco all these adventure labs.
That is super
And-
cool. So
and they'll probably get them done within 24 hours.
yeah,
Right? It'll be one marathon and say, "Look what we did." How did you do?
there will be someone who will try. Yeah, there will be speed racing. Yeah. So Scott, like obviously we've talked about the Lincoln Highway Adventure Labs, and this is fascinating. I'm really appreciating learning about this, and we've also seemed to have set off some passion about doing the same thing here in Canada, which is great.
Absolutely.
But was this just about the Adventure Labs, or were there other geocaching goals involved?
There were originally other geocaching goals involved. I was going to pick up some, I filled in by Jasmer, but I was going to pick up some of those old ones. There's a virtual at Manzanar, which is the Japanese internment camp, and that was definitely on my list. But that was up to 365 and then turned right into the snow, and we just aren't going to do that. So it wound up just being not only just Adventure Labs, it wound up being, except for the Death Valley one, all Lincoln Highway Adventure Labs.
Okay. So you said that, you had a change of plans early on because of the snow, which, I probably would have been bullheaded and said, well, I can drive through snow. I'll just do it. And, I probably wouldn't be here to do the podcast tonight, but you made the smarter move. Were there any other unexpected plans or changes other than adding a couple of days to your trip that you hadn't expected to do?
Yeah, when I get home, I'm going. I have Verizon. I'm going along. Everything's working perfectly fine on my phone. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, but everything's working really well. And I get home and I think, God, I wonder how other providers are doing on this highway. And I bring up their maps. More than half of my highway doesn't have connections to AT&T or T-Mobile. So I had tried to spoof-proof my Adventure Lab pretty well by using, cable posts and numbers off cable posts and such. So I made an adjustment. And I can't undo what I'm doing, but I can change it and say, okay, you're looking at this cable post. What are the last 3 numbers of the post that starts with N23? So they don't get the wrong one. So that's an addition. And then I'm like, God, am I going to have to go ahead and use that, 110,000 meter geofencing? And I went ahead and found out that the Adventure Lab app works very well without data connection.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So to
Good to
test
know.
this, I went and did a couple ALs with, in airplane mode. And basically, when you download it, when you've looked at it once, it's all on your phone. So you can see all the descriptions. When you get into the geofencing, the question pops up. The only downside is you cannot answer the question. So if you and you and I have all done this, you answer the question incorrectly, you get that's wrong, and you try and enter again. You're not going to be able to do that without a data connection. And that's why I have made sure that although they're spoofed pretty well, I definitely want to make sure that the people who are in the middle of my Adventure Lab are getting the correct information. And if they don't, they can certainly. And then the other thing is, it doesn't matter. Once you've been in the geofencing, you can turn off your phone. You can do anything as long as you get back into the Adventure Lab, go into that lab. When you get there, it says answer, and all you need to do is answer. So, if they get home and, one person has done my Adventure Lab. He's the guy who's actually going to do another leg of the Lincoln Highway. And he got home and said, I couldn't get this answer. And so I gave it to him, and now he's completed it. So, yeah, so it's kind of surprising kudos actually to Groundspeak for making it pretty darn simple to do it without data.
That's cool. I didn't know that it
Yeah.
had that much resiliency.
Yeah, me neither. And, so now I went ahead and reduced down my geofencing to normal geofencing, and it's exciting.
Interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yep. So
I'm going to have to turn off data next time I go out just to see what happens.
Yep.
And Scott, you were traveling, but when I'm doing Adventure Labs, I never consider, I better check the maps of other cell carriers to make sure they cover this area, or somebody's not going to be able to do it.
Right.
That never entered my thought pattern. That's a great extra step there to take. Very, very customer service oriented.
Very customer service oriented, and okay, so here's a change that I had to make for mine is I went ahead, I found somebody local who would take over, who would let me set a bonus, and they would take it over. So the bonus usually is in the journal. Well, where I wound up setting my bonus, there's no data, so I can't put it in the journal because they can't get to the journal. So I just have to put it in. When the geofencing comes up, it says, here is where the bonus is. These are the coordinates for the bonus. So
in the chat, we have Ari, who, by the way, our newest patron. Thank you very much, Ari. The key to offline adventure labbing is that you load the adventure, click it on the map when you have reception.
Yes.
At that point, it caches an offline copy, and then you can unlock the geofences.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, Ari, I believe, is one of the lackeys and very knowledgeable in this. And my Adventure Lab starts with read this, make sure you load it, because if you're going to get to Middlegate and think you're going to start it, you're going to have to drive back 40 miles to whatever that next town down is.
And Ari shares that if you write a support email to adventurelab@geocaching.com, they will be answering.
So apparently he does know a thing or two about this.
Kind of sounds that way. Yeah, I think it's a safe
That's
statement.
awesome. Couldn't ask for better guests in the live audience. I'll tell you that.
I'm going to take that as fact now that it really does work exactly that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good. I wasn't a credible enough source. But Ari is.
Yes,
no
you
problem.
are, Scott.
No
Scott.
problem.
Sorry, it didn't mean to come out that way.
We're friends. I will tease you.
But that was the first time I've heard of that. I have always assumed you need data. Period.
Right. Yep.
Learning new things all the time.
So there you go.
All right. So what else did we want to make sure we covered off here? We talked a little bit about the cellular data, but how was the data coverage in the remote areas?
For Verizon, it was fine, and for the others, according to their maps, it's pretty non-existent. And let's see, Ocamera is the one who set up the next one, and he apparently doesn't have Verizon. He said that he had difficulty with the data, but again, as long as you I'll say load it, or as long as you click on it and get it into your phone, you should have no issues, according to Ari.
Well, okay. Now I'm going to ask a question. It might be more directed to Ari, but is that true if you load multiples, right? So if you're going to do this, let's say you're really gung ho, you're going to do a 500-mile section in a day. That's pretty gung ho with stops, right?
Yep.
Can you load all those into your phone ahead of time?
Yes.
Okay. So once you tap them, they're loaded and you're good to go.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, that's when I got back. I went out, and like I said, I drove out to San Bernardino to get 2 Adventure Labs and a webcam, and and I made sure that I had it in airplane mode the entire time.
Oh,
once I had loaded those 2 in.
Now we're definitely gonna have to play with that a little bit for sure.
Yeah, it gives you some confidence. That's
should work if you load multiple Adventure Labs. So
all right,
there you go. Very cool.
Yeah. Kudos to them.
They did a great job. I mean, isn't it exciting when you've been using an app for so long? Okay, Adventure Labs is relatively new in the period of apps, right? But suddenly you realize, oh, it does this? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
that was a lot better than setting the geofencing to 62 miles.
Yeah.
For sure.
Or 100 kilometers.
And that's kind of what I've told people to do. Like, especially I'm thinking like the ape event, right? So you go through this long tunnel. If you've got an Adventure Lab in the tunnel, you're going to have to set it to, the zone to include either end of the tunnel so you can get data, but apparently you don't have to. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure you're going to get coordinates in the middle of the tunnel. That's going to be more of an issue. Yeah.
And a good caveat at that. Yeah.
Yeah. True. Well, if your zone includes each end of the tunnel,
right,
then you could put in the description, go, to 18 pillars in or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure the geofencing
includes both ends of the tunnel.
Right. Where they can get GPS reception. Don't need data, but they do need GPS reception.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And I love the term spoof-proof, so that's great.
Yeah, spoof-proof. Yeah, I had a friend who got one of the first ones, Neil Moore, and he had he said it, because geofencing is in place, nothing to worry about. Apparently 60 people from Germany just happened to go over to Michigan that day that it went active. So yeah.
They do travel quickly.
Spoof-proof is some people don't care. I just happen to be a guy who does care.
There you go. We got a few people talking about the tunnel. Yeah.
Jim B says, "Let me tell you how surprised I was when my phone rang in the middle of the tunnel."
Huh.
Not only Jim, but everybody around him when a phone rang in the middle of the tunnel.
Well, how's the phone ring in here?
All right, good.
Sasquatch calling.
Kid Vegas 19 says, "Personal experience, middle of the tunnel was best cell reception ever."
Awesome.
Maybe the waves were bouncing enough into the tunnel, and they just
I was
all.
going to say, is the antenna straight up from there?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, line of sight down the tunnel. Brian's saying, yeah, it's something
Could be.
funny there. Anyways,
I'm so surprised you left some bloody fingers in a cache there.
that's right.
Oh, nice. Now,
So,
go ahead.
I was just gonna. I think we've run through most of the questions we had pre-scripted, but I'm just wondering if Scott, if you had anything else that you wanted to share about the adventure, or any maybe pro tips if somebody else is planning to follow in your footsteps.
Okay, for the people who are going to go ahead and do the Canadian Highway instead of that adventure lab, Jeff is the guy that you want to talk to. But so Jeff at geocaching.com, Gear Guru.
Yeah,
he's the guy you want to talk to. Bonus caches. When people set bonus caches in a park or maybe even a city, and they, and you do it, well, first off, you can't do it sequentially. Yeah, and KL11 told us that it can't be sequential because people are driving. In my case, that's 62 miles, so it can't be sequential. And then when you're doing the bonus, don't do one clue at every stop, because, and this happened to me twice, I got to the end and found out that the cache was, in one case 30 miles that way, and in the other case 8 miles that way. Well, I'm heading west. Even to go back 8 miles is 16 miles round trip that I didn't do. So figure out a way. And the way that I did it was just to give them the coordinates. One person did it really well. I got to the eastmost location, and it said, there is a bonus. It's at the west end at this location. And when you get there, you'll get it. So I knew there was a bonus, and now I knew where it was. And when I got there, up popped the coordinates, and the bonus was right near the end. So,
and if you were doing it west to east, you could write it and just say, hey, there's a bonus cache that come right up here.
Right. When you're doing west to east, the first one you go to, it says the bonus cache, here's the coordinates.
Right. Okay.
And so you get it.
That's a smart way of doing it.
That was, mine had happened to be more in the middle, but, I had told people it's going to be here. And when you get there, there were three locations within about 0.2 of a mile. So at the first one, in the pop-up geofencing, it says, here's the latitude. You go 0.1 of a mile that way. Here's the longitude, and there's the cache. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, I have to ask, did you do all your adventure labs on one side of the highway, say traveling east or traveling west?
No, but I did make sure there was adequate parking on both sides. Actually, one of their points was actually one of the most interesting points to me was in 1919. A young captain led a army convoy across the United States and got mucked up in Kansas or Missouri or someplace, and realized, this was a route. This was not necessarily a paved highway back then, and realized the importance of being able to get across this country. That young captain was Dwight D. Eisenhower, who a few years later started the interstate highway system.
Fascinating.
Yeah, based on his experience.
Yep. Yeah, that's something we needed, isn't it? Wow.
Well, if you're going to take a convoy across the United States, you don't want to be on, Route 40 going through every little town on the way. and same with the trucks and everybody else.
You do have to
Exactly.
stop at Wall Drug, though.
Yeah, I don't know why. I stopped at Wall Drugs.
Everybody has to stop their what?
You have to stop in and get the bumper sticker.
I guess so.
Otherwise,
Okay.
they won't
You
let
got
you
to
exit.
fill me in. What's that all about?
Wall Drugs is one of those attractions that for 300 miles stop at Wall Drugs,
Yeah.
at Wall Drugs in Wall,
Wall,
Iowa.
South Dakota.
Wall, South Dakota.
Yeah.
So by gosh, you have to stop by Wall Drugs.
Well, and it
which is-
was a legitimate drugstore back in the day. And then when the interstate came through, they thought they were just going to wither up and die like a lot of the things. And they
Right.
started advertising free ice water back when, you needed water to cool your car and everything. And you can still get free ice water at Wall Drug, South Dakota. It's a tourist stop now, but
Yeah.
it's fun. Lots of shops and stuff.
Advertising is what drives it, right?
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
these billboards up, like you say, for 300 miles, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got to see this now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I've got to see it. And you go like,
Yeah.
this is it. Oh, okay, well, we were there.
Yeah. So, yeah, but everybody has to stop. You got to stop to
Yeah.
go to Wall Drugs. And short of that, I had a great time. And if people can travel, and
Mhm.
and I will have to also say about Escape Venture, they give you it's $30. It was $33 a day in the middle of the winter. They give you 100 free miles a day, and then they charge you 30 cents a mile. So
Mhm.
this trip wound up being 1,500 miles because I was geocaching, and so I did have to pay for 1,000 miles, which was $300 and some dollars, but that was still a darn good deal.
It seems like
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have paid that in 3 nights at a hotel.
Yeah, and it was 5 nights. So yeah,
Right.
yeah. I got home and my wife. I said,
Okay,
"Okay,
5 nights at a cheap hotel.
what did that cost?" And she told me, and okay, that doesn't work out. That works out fine. We can do
Mhm.
that.
That's cool.
So
Yep.
you see yourself doing this again in the future?
I see this doing this again with my wife because she's now excited about it. Not the geocaching part of it, by the way,
But the travel,
but the
seeing
travel
the
part.
places. Yeah.
Yeah, we, like I said, we are both high risk people, high risk at getting this. So, she rarely leaves the house. I leave the house to go shopping. I leave the house to go geocaching and hiking. But this was the first travel that we've done in a year.
There you go. UDAC wants to know if Bella is going to come too.
Bella was going to come. And then when I saw the 17-degree weather, I thought, I'm going to have to go out in the middle of the night in the snow. I don't want to do it more than once.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But she was ready to come. And decided last minute that she couldn't.
Probably wise.
And probably the same thing. Know your limits.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
And your
Adventure
animal
sport.
limits, right?
Don't take your animals where they don't belong.
Yep. Really good point. Well, thank you so much, Scott. This has been very informative and a lot of fun. If people want to connect with you, A, because you're just a great guy, but B, maybe they want to learn more about your experiences or talk to you about geocaching, etc. How can they get a hold of you?
The best way to get hold of me, because I'm on geocaching.com several times a day, is just to message me through the geocaching.com app at GSMx2, and I'll get that message.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight, Scott. I hope you're going to stay for the after show, and we do have a question to ask you in a little bit.
Okay. Well, of course I'm going to stay for the after show. It's my second favorite part of the show.
Folks,
The first favorite part being Wits End, Raz and Land Monkey every show.
Most people say they like the intro, they like the after show. The middle part is okay.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, listeners, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Absolutely. And now is the opportunity we have again to thank Landsharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. Make sure to subscribe to their newsletter to find out about new products and sales first. Yep, that's a hint. There's always something new coming out. Remember that landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. Remember, they're shipping orders daily. We also want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Landsharks, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cachly, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting this show, click that Patreon link right over there on the cachingandw.com website.
Like Greenwords did.
Also, Sege Hove.
Hey, it's my buddy Three Hams in a Rose.
Camp Clan.
Keats 94.
UDAC.
Tick Magnet.
Subway Mark.
Winos, Seattle.
Log Work.
Doramore.
The Geo Travelers.
Wet Coaster.
Team Noltex.
That guy right there.
You get to say your name this time, Scott.
GSM times 2.
Brilliant. Well done.
Boomer 365.
MC3 Cats.
LG 9000.
Limax.
Hacker Doc.
You talks to rocks.
T-Sayer.
Seebeck Tribe.
Nerve.
Just finding our way.
Kev MacD.
The Broncos fan for life.
Al Robrick.
Geo Nav Pros.
Antaeus.
Donners. I'm looking
Kid
at you.
Vegas 19.
Kennel Barb.
Trexer Zero.
Kitty Quest.
CRS 98.
Fairwood West.
Sprouter.
B. Pendragon.
Peach.
On a Boat.
Peach.
I don't know. There's a buildup. Peach.
Genies.
Oh, I broke Land Monkey. And
Back-
our newest patron, Ari 54321.
Hey,
Yay.
welcome to the club. Thank you very much, Ari.
You knocked
What is
Land
going
Monkey out
on
of
with my
focus.
I know Land Monkey's lost his focus because of
Wow.
what we've done
There
here
we go.
tonight.
First,
All
he
right.
about fell out of the invisible portal there to his right. And then he just completely lost focus. And it's just, the wheels have fallen off. We need to wrap this up and get to the after show. So, for all of you out there, if you're trying to get a hold of any of us, Scott, one more time, where can they find you?
GSM X2, GSM times 2 at the geocaching. Messages. Thank you.
Yeah.
My
It's a
battery.
Scott, it's okay.
It's all good. It's
My
that's what
battery
happens to
just
us
says
too
your
about this.
battery's low. I better go plug in. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's slowing the internet down on Thursday night. Does it to all of us.
That's
For the
right.
rest of us, you can find us on also the geocaching.com message center and many other places, all of which are listed at cachingandw.com/hosts.
That's right. Now, folks, it's time for a new segment. It's a question, an opportunity to learn a little bit about your host and perhaps a guest when he comes back.
Maybe.
He'll be back.
Oh, wait, I got to get ready for this. It's at last. Wait, that takes too long. There it is, at last.
We're
The last is listeners ask some things. And now we get to answer. If you'd like to ask some things, call into 253-693-TFTC or email your questions to feedback at cachingandw.com. Now, the question I have tonight,
Mhm.
what's the funniest thing you've seen a kid do?
Well, good timing because I think Scott's back. Should we add him back to the stream here? Whoop.
Okay, we're all going to click.
Let's all click on him at the same time because
I
that
didn't click nothing.
Thank you for getting me back.
Thank you for coming back. We were kind of wondering. That was a pretty convenient excuse for Scott to run away. All right. So the at last question. I don't know if you caught it there, Scott, but it's
I did not.
what's the funniest thing you've seen a kid do?
Okay, so somebody else go first.
Need a
and I'll-
moment. Okay.
I'll try and come
Man
up
Monkey,
with-
you seem to have something right off the top of your head.
I do. The funniest thing I've seen a kid do is math. I don't know. I don't have anything. But watching kids do math is actually pretty entertaining.
That can be, yeah. Let's
Kind of what
see.
like watching me do math.
Okay, I got one.
All right. Let's have a good one now, Scott. Now that
I'm not sure how
I'm not
sure how good this is, but well, I'm gonna go for it. So went over to a friend's house who had 2.5 or I'm not exactly sure how old she was, but little girl, infant or child, who came to the door. Oh, Scott, come here, let me show you what I did. And she takes my hand, and we go walking into the bathroom where she lifts up the toilet and shows me what she did. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
You're proud of her.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
So that's so good. That's so good. Yep.
Excellent. Good job.
Thank you.
I have a story similar. I was bringing my then girlfriend, now wife, to meet my brother for the first time, and his boy was probably about 2.5, 3. And he walks up to me and he goes, I have boy parts. Do you have boy parts? I don't want to talk about this right now. Yeah. Yes, I do. And my face was just bright red. I was like, oh, and here's my girlfriend. Yeah. Okay.
She was probably so impressed with how you handled that she said, oh, this man would be a fine father for my children.
I asked her about it, after years of marriage. And she's like, yeah, that was kind of odd. And that was all it was. It was like, I died of embarrassment that day.
Or maybe she was just glad to know.
That's true. That answers a lot of questions early on. And nowadays, I don't know if we're allowed to ask anymore. Wits End, what about you? Asking what kid, the funniest thing you've seen a kid do.
Yeah, kids are great. I love kids, and they, no reservations there. The one thing that I remember, my cousin, there was a family outing. I don't think it was quite as formal as a wedding, but it was not just a casual backyard barbecue. We were all out dressed up going somewhere, and my cousin, she was wearing a dress, or at least a fairly long skirt, and her little nephew decided to run up to her and greet her and grab the bottom of her skirt and go and blow his nose right in the front of her skirt.
There's a lot of fabric.
Yeah, well,
why not?
Yeah.
Kid Vegas 19 says that officially makes my wife my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I guess technically she is. She's not your girlfriend
That's
anymore.
right, because I didn't kiss my wife until we were married.
Ba-dum-bum.
Wow.
Good point.
What else we got?
I'm reading this from Keats. It says, AFV clip, kid gets a check from his grandfather. He looks up at grandfather and says, $50. I thought you were a cheapskate. Parents had some explaining to do.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, Wet Coaster says, watch a kid use a dial phone.
Oh, yeah.
A rotary phone.
You can watch a teenager use a dial phone now, and it's entertaining.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, maybe it was 7 or more now. We were in a relative's house, and they had a rotary phone on the wall, and I said, kids, do you know what this is? It's a telephone, but these buttons don't work. Yeah. Oh, watch a kid try to figure out a cassette player Walkman. Those were so cool.
Trying to cram the disc in.
Yeah.
Now, I hate to mention that Land Monkey just kind of slid underneath there with math.
Well, I think Wet Coaster called him out. Oh, no, it was Donna that called him out.
Hey, you know what? Any of you guys are welcome to do the podcast any night.
Okay, we'll have GSM time 2 on next week then.
Do I have to?
Oh, wait. Yes, you have.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you mentioned
Hello.
the cassette player. All I remember is trying to teach a kid about a cassette tape and a pencil and how they work together.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I like gearheads.
Oh yeah.
His nephew asked him for a chainsaw. Why? To cut a branch. Why? To reach a wasp nest.
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Now we're getting to the root of it. There you go. That's
Yeah,
good.
there's a podcast host I listen to that one of his things is he says before you can decide what to do with something, you have to decide what it's for. He goes, when my 3-year-old comes up behind me and says, "Dad, can I kill this?" We need to find out if it's a cockroach or if it's his baby sister. Context
Or a
matters.
pudding cup.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, folks, thank you so much for joining us and taking time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Don't forget that you can be part of the show. Call into 253-693-TFTC. Ask us a question or, take us on a road trip any time of the day or night. Of course, you can always email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, please click on the Patreon button on the cachingnw.com website and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Give us a thumbs up or a very coveted review. The show's produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Copyright 2021 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, we ask you, no, we beg you, we implore you to stay tuned for...
Oh,
Yeah. That one's not working lately.
That'll work.
I think the after show graphic is constipated.
You can't trust Wits End.
God, having so much fun. I forgot this. We haven't even done the after show.
You know,
yet.
right? Right? Yeah. Weren't we already done? Holy
That's
cow.
right. Speaking of Wits End, he put something in the after show.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Weird
What do
guy.
you do?
You were talking about Pony Express and different things, and it got me thinking. Have you seen? You guys have probably. I found it fascinating. The very large arrows across the country. When they used to do airmail, they had huge arrows that they, I don't know, painted, paved, rocked, whatever they did them.
I found a
they're
couple of
thinking
those in
rock.
Utah.
Did you? And so it just got me wondering if I'm sure somebody probably already has. Are there adventure labs out there associated with the large airmail arrows across the country? I think that would be fun to find out.
There's definitely geocaches. That's how we actually found out about one of them, is when we were doing our Utah Geo Tour. There was a geocache that wasn't part of the Geo Tour, but it sounded interesting when I read the description, and it was about these arrows. And I said to Laura, I said, this isn't far from one of the Geo Tour caches, and this sounds really neat. Let's go check this out. And it was it was a plateau. It was a long, narrow plateau and a big concrete arrow.
Yeah. There are some still surviving to this day.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I hadn't heard about them until just a couple of years ago, and I read an article online, and I was fascinated. So.
Yeah, back when I'm old enough to actually have flown in a plane that had props. A United jet or a giant plane that had props, and you flew, and you could see trucks on the highway. And
Wow.
yeah, wouldn't want to fly that way anymore. I love being 20,000 feet above the clouds and the turbulence.
A hollow metal tube built by the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? Look at the people in Colorado. They'll tell you.
There's that.
Yeah.
There's that.
Oh, let's see. Wet Coaster asks, how about adventure labs all along the Trans-Canadian Highway? So Trans-Canada Highway. So do you guys already have it all worked out? I think through the chat, they've already got it all worked out.
Yeah, they probably already placed them while we were talking here.
There was definitely a lot of conversation going on. And so I think Keats, you seem to be stepping up to volunteer. So we'll be talking to you offline.
You have been volunteered, Keats.
Ari says, not airmail arrows, but if you ever do my DC Transportation History Adventure Lab in Washington, D.C., you'll see a field where the first ever U.S. airmail plane took off.
I'm
Very
excited
cool.
to go there now. Yeah, I love touring Washington, D.C. I will, next time I get out there, I don't know when that'll be, but if I do, I'm going to look that up.
Last year we went to an air museum in
Oregon.
and it's
McMinnville.
McMinnville. Thank you. All I could come up with McMinnivins, and I knew that wasn't right. McMinnville.
Do you need me to fill anything else about the trip I didn't go with you on?
What did we see?
The Spruce Goose.
Spruce Goose. Thank you.
Yeah, because
and
you and I talked about doing this for a long time, and then you went without me.
Oh,
yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. He took his dad. It's all good.
I think I asked.
You probably did. Because pick any date in the last 5 years,
Yeah.
I was busy, couldn't go. So
Right.
It's all good.
Anyway, there were several of the U.S. airmail planes, and I'm looking at it going, I wouldn't fly in these things.
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty nasty. Wet Coaster says Flagstaff has some on their maps as airway beacons. The nearest is just south of the Canada-Washington border.
Canada?
I'm running out of steam. My battery.
Canada, that's where that Fraser Valley is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Canada.
In Ohio, it's Kenyatta, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
they got the LA to Canada freeway.
Yeah.
I know Ohio. That's where Jamie Summers was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, and I just realized that I was saying KL11 all this time talking about it's KC_11. So when you're doing the Trans-Canada Highway, contact KC_11.
AC_11. Perfect.
Yep.
Good to know. Did you get that, Keats?
Yeah. And if there's a cashier out there named KL_11, we're sorry for the
Please.
volume of emails you're going to get. But
Speaking of a volume of emails, Rylang says the Mars Perseverance rover trackable has 13,426 people watching it. RIP to their email inboxes.
oh yeah, rip their email inboxes. There you go.
Ouch.
Oh wait.
That's TB5 Echo Foxtrot X-ray Kilo. All right.
Very well done.
That's why they pay me the big bucks to say that and say math.
Canada.
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 All right.
It's like perseverance.
Perseverance.
Yeah.
Perseverance.
I can't find all these in the chat. So Keats94 says 2023 is when I'll likely do my 16,000 kilometer cross Canada road trip. Tentatively planning at this point. So when you do that, make sure you place all the adventure labs that need to be done.
Well, no, this is why he's in charge, because he is the one most motivated to make sure that the project is done
Yes.
by 2023. So he'll recruit folks like myself and all the other folks on the show tonight, and Cache Canada, everybody who's been keen about it, and he'll be the organizer, and we'll all help get the adventure labs out.
I'd say the key word there is delegate.
Yes.
Just make sure it gets done.
There you go.
Because we want to go find them once the border opens.
Exactly.
Might be 2023.
It might be.
Just a nice little circumnavigate, just up the Lincoln, across Canada.
Oh, can you imagine? Now that's a road trip.
That's
So
a
then,
road trip.
why Keats is working on the Trans-Canada one, we need to work on the one in the West Coast from the Trans-Canada down to the Lincoln, and we need somebody on the East Coast to fill that out. So we just, make a big loop.
There you go. The Friendship Adventure Lab project.
There you go.
It's the peace circle.
The Peace Circle.
It sounds like something else, but yeah.
Okay, so Keats94 says a new adventure of his Keats94 geocaching adventures goes live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Port Quicklem.
Or Coquitlam,
Coquitlam. That's it. Coquitlam. I told you my batteries are dead.
Hey, where does the BC ferry hit the mainland up there?
We hope it doesn't hit the mainland.
I don't know anymore.
Okay, never mind.
It's a piece of
It's just baiting him now.
Yeah, and I'm done. Subscribe to Keith's channel. He knows how to pronounce it.
Yeah. Oh man is right.
Just imagine how we treat you if we didn't like you.
You wouldn't talk to him. You're just like,
Yeah.
that weird guy.
We're
Well,
gay.
folks, that's it. We're done for tonight. I'm tired. And until next week, get some sleep and then get caching in the Northwest.